Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna go over what a good pregame warm-up looks like for catchers. I'm gonna first start by saying that warming up the pitcher is not a good warm-up for catchers. So if you're a coach out there, make sure that your catchers are doing more than just warming up the pitcher in the bullpen before they go out there and start the game. If that's the only thing that they're doing, then they're not gonna be ready to block, they're not gonna be ready to throw, they're gonna be missing out on a lot of things that they need to make sure that they're ready. The first thing that we do in all of our warm-ups here in the facility or out on the field when I'm working with teams before a game is we wanna do some core activation. We wanna get the muscles in the core firing and ready to stabilize the spine for all of our rotational movements. Some of the things that we're gonna do to get the core activated are very simple, but they're very helpful in getting the core ready to fire and ready to stabilize our spine. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna do planks. Now planks may seem like a very ordinary exercise, but they're actually really great for improving our hip mobility. There's a theory called the joint by joint theory that says when we have stability in one area, it gives us mobility in the other. So when we have stability in our core, that actually helps our hips mobilize. I wrote an article about that on our blog. You can check that out down below. I'll leave a link for you guys to go check that out. Along with our front plank, we're gonna have side planks on both sides, and we're gonna do that for about 30 seconds each. As a pregame warm-up, your core exercises are not gonna be something that you're trying to gain strength with, you're just trying to get the core ready to go. So once we do our planks, we're gonna hop into the next one. The next one here is one of my personal favorites, and that is the bear crawl. Or in this case, we're gonna call it the cat crawl, because what we're gonna do with this is we're actually gonna have our back flat like a table, and we're gonna walk opposite arm and opposite hand working together. This crawl should be slow and smooth. We're not trying to go as fast as we can. This is all about control and coordination. We'll do about a 10-yard crawl down and back, and that'll be our only crawl that we do. Then the next thing that we're gonna go into is our mobility. So this is where we're gonna go into our 90-90 hip stretches. If you guys haven't seen our hip mobility video, I'll leave that up top here for you guys to check out. So make sure you watch that video next. In the 90-90 drill, the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna twist around behind and try to get some good mobility through our upper back and some rotation through there. We're gonna hold that position for about 25 to 30 seconds, and then we're gonna go into bringing our chest down to our front knee. Again, you'll hold that position about 25 to 30 seconds, and then you'll go to the other side and do the same thing. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go through kind of rotating sumo squats. So they're going to set up kind of out wide with their feet, drop down into a squat, almost basically into a traditional primary stance, and then come back up, rotate to the other side and squat down. We'll do about 10 squats going down, 10 squats coming back. So once we go through our core activation and our mobility stuff, we're gonna get into our big three stuff. So that's blocking, throwing, receiving. The first thing that we'll go into is we'll go into some receiving stuff. We're gonna throw some weighted balls to them. And we wanna always work from the ground up with any of our receiving stuff. We want the thumb to stay underneath the ball, come up, and we want to finish into the neutral glove position. Now, if you don't know what the neutral glove position is, this is something that I talk about on Catching IQ Online. You guys have a link down below there. Use the code IQ40. That'll get you 40% off your first month. There's a lot of great drills on there and things that can help you as a catcher. And one of those things is the neutral glove position. It's super important that we have this flat glove positioning and that we're catching every pitch and presenting it with that flat neutral glove. So after we do the weighted baseballs, we're gonna do some just regular baseballs with their glove, and we're gonna work the throwing hand side with pitches, and then we're gonna work the glove side with pitches, and make sure that they're getting their glove movement right, that they're getting their timing and their feel for receiving pitches. Then the next thing that we're gonna go into is blocking. I cannot emphasize this enough. Never, ever let your first block be an in-game block. Getting a few blocks in pre-game is gonna help you be ready on the first pitch. If that ball's in the dirt, you're gonna be ready for it. So with blocking, all that we're gonna do is we're gonna step back about 15 feet and just throw blocks to them right out in front. We want to make sure that we hit the glove side, the throwing hand side, and down the middle. And I really only throw about 6 to 9 blocks, so either 2 or 3 times through each one of those blocks. We're not trying to get a lot of extra work in here. This is just to get them warmed up. If you only had time for 3 blocks, I think that's enough to just get them ready to go into a blocking position so that their first block is not an in-game block. And then the next thing that we'll do is we'll have them go through throwing. This could also be done up front if you do your throwing progression as a team. But one thing that we're gonna do with them is we're gonna have them go through a J-band routine. And we may only do a couple exercises. We don't really hit a lot of J-bands before we throw, but we'll just do a couple things. My favorites are tees, so just out wide to the side with tees, and then we're gonna go external rotations. The next thing that we mix in with their throwing stuff is their footwork. We're gonna throw pitches to them, and they're gonna do their footwork to third base, they're gonna do their footwork to second and first base. Make sure that their footwork feels good. Make sure they're getting a feel for just making their exchanges and getting into a good throwing position. What we'll do before their footwork is we'll go through some exchange stuff. So we're gonna work heavy ball exchanges, and then we're gonna work some pick and throws as well. That way we get a little bit of mixture of different in-game situations that they might come across. All of these repetitions are gonna be about the 3 to 5 range. You're only gonna do 3 of each, maybe 5 if you got a little extra time. Again, this is just a pre-game warm-up. This is not about getting better or getting extra reps in. This is just about getting prepared for the game. The next thing that we'll do with our catchers is we'll go through mental preparation. That includes kind of a lot of different things. It includes knowing who's going to be pitching to them today. What stuff do they have? Do they have a really good breaking ball? Are they all over the place with their throws? I'm gonna have to be ready to block more. Maybe I'm catching one of our better pitchers and I know I'm gonna be able to steal a lot more strikes because he's gonna hit his spots. The next thing is knowing the umpire. If you're in a league where you see the same umpires over and over again, you might get to know an umpire and know, oh, he gives us 2 or 3 inches off the plate, or he gives us low pitches. Now you can kind of exploit that. Try to get your pitcher on the same page as you. Hey, we want to try to hit these spots if we can because we can get a little bit extra in these areas. The other thing is that you want to know the opposing team's hitters. If this is a team you've faced before, you should have a general idea of what the lineup looks like. Guys that you might have to look out for, guys that might bunt, guys with power, guys with speed, or guys that you can just come right after and throw fastballs to. If you haven't seen the team before, this is something that you really need to pay attention to the first time through the order so that as you go through the game, you're more aware of what pitches you should be throwing and what the strengths of those hitters are. Another thing that I feel like is really important at the amateur level in high school and college is looking at home plate. A lot of times we play on fields that aren't that great. We want to know is home plate sticking up out of the ground? Are there holes? Is the dirt soft? You want to take a quick look at home plate to check out if there's anything that you need to be aware of. The next thing that we're going to talk about is warming up the starting pitcher. If you're a coach out there, I think it's more important that your starting catcher warms up the starting pitcher than it is having them out there for your infield outfield. I know it's important to look good in an infield outfield, but I think you're gonna get more value out of having your starting catcher warm up your pitcher before they head out there. I hope this pregame warm up is helpful for you guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and check out these new videos.